D23, the ultimate fan event, kicks off in Anaheim next week and promises to shock us all. With announcements of upcoming attractions, first looks at projects, presentations on Disney history, and more. But with the 2022 event being so lackluster, what can we expect from D23 this year? While we're not sure quite yet, today we're taking a look into some possible announcements and some things that we as huge Disney fans would love to see. This is your ultimate preview for D23. The D23 convention is a highly anticipated event that happens every other year, and this year in 2024, we'll be traveling to Anaheim, California to experience this epic event. An event in which I attended in 2022 and had a blast. However, a lot of the things that we were promised just never happened.
As exciting as all of these D23 announcements are, in 2019 there was quite a few announcements that never happened, like the Play Pavilion, Avengers e-ticket attraction at Avengers Campus in California, Reflections, a Disney Lakeside Lodge, World Celebration Neighborhood. Well, it happened, but you know how that turned out. The UK Pavilion Mary Poppins expansion, and the Star Wars Galactic Oh, sorry, that did happen. It just closed before the following D20. Anyway, a lot of this stuff doesn't happen, so take what actually gets announced with a pinch of salt. Is that what they say?
So ahead of this year's convention, we want to take a look at some things that we predict being announced, starting here in Magic Kingdom with Big Thunder Mountain.
One of the biggest talking points when it comes to D23 speculation is what has been teased for so long, something being beyond Big Thunder Mountain. So of course we had to stop by Magic Kingdom in here by Big Thunder Mountain to talk about it. And I also brought my binoculars to see if there's actually anything there. We're gonna check that first.
Well, folks, I'm not really seeing much progress beyond Big Thunder Mountain just yet. And this is something that was talked about in 2 years ago's D23 conference, which I was actually at, and there's still no progress, nothing going on. And ever since then, we haven't heard anything about what's actually going to be going on beyond Big Thunder Mountain.
Something that Disney has been doing during their last couple of D23, or like, what's the other Destination D, is do this blue sky type of announcement after the actual announcements, which sometimes don't happen, but blue skying, saying, hey, what might be beyond Big Thunder Mountain? So far, they've thrown out the ideas of a Coco Land, a Villains Land. Other people online have speculated about a Cars Land coming here, which I know that's something that Kristen might have some thoughts about.
So like Ryan said, there's been a little bit of speculation that there might be a Cars Land coming to Magic Kingdom. I absolutely love Cars Land. It is my favorite themed land in any theme park ever. They have it over in Disney California Adventure, and I am just obsessed. So while I would love to see a Cars Land come to Disney World, I don't think beyond Big Thunder Mountain would be the right fit. But something I kind of can see them doing is something similar to Fantasy Springs, which is a new land that just opened in the last month or so over in Tokyo Disneyland. And it's had a great reception where they've kind of taken a bunch of different classic Disney movies and combined them into one. So we have Peter Pan, we have Rapunzel, and what's the other one?
I don't know.
Frozen, right? Aren't they all three there?
Maybe.
There's a bunch of different movies kind of combined into one land. So I could see them doing something similar with maybe Coco, with maybe Encanto, but probably not Encanto because that's probably going to be somewhere else.
On that topic, we do want to talk a little bit about what's happening at the old Dino Land. I say old, but it's still open, over at Animal Kingdom. Unfortunately, we're not going to make it over there today, but they're having a brand new Encanto Land / Indiana Jones South American area. This was announced, but not officially. It's kind of hard to tell these days, but the new land is looking pretty solid so far. They haven't even started anything yet, but based off of all the concept art and stuff that they've teased.
So the reason we're kind of talking about this Encanto South America's Land next is because similar to the Beyond Big Thunder Mountain announcement, we haven't really seen any progress. And both of these things were kind of announced at 2 years ago's D23. And we haven't seen any progress. So over in Animal Kingdom, like Ryan said, we're expecting an Encanto Land and Indiana Jones. They're supposedly retheming the dinosaur attraction to be Indiana Jones like they have over in Disneyland, which I love the Indiana Jones attraction, but I am going to be very sad to see Dinosaur go. And I feel like every time I go to Animal Kingdom, I now want to ride Dinosaur because you just never know when is going to be the last time. We expect to hear a lot more about that during this year's D23? Well, those are like the two main things that I think are like absolute givens to be announced at D23, with Beyond Big Thunder Mountain and then the South America's Land in Animal Kingdom. But one more thing I'm pretty much fully expecting to hear a little bit more about is Disneyland Forward.
Disneyland Forward is a project that's been talked about on and off in these big announcements or even in blue sky things for the past six years or so, believe it or not. And there's been only one piece of it that's been officially announced in a collaboration post, I believe, with James Cameron, with the Avatar Land coming to Disneyland. But this whole Disneyland Forward is like not in either of the parks. It's kind of near downtown Disney. I'll have Kristen explain.
If you weren't aware, Disneyland Forward is going to be quite possibly the biggest expansion in Disneyland history. They're not really building a new park. More so, they're building like an expansion of both of the parks. So we could see Disneyland and Disney California Adventure just growing in size and getting a ton more attractions added to it. It is going to be on, I think it's called Catella, just off Harbor Boulevard, kind of by a lot of the third-party off-property hotels. I know everything kind of just got approved by the city of Anaheim, so I expect to see a couple of maybe photos of concept art, maybe a couple of specific lands or attractions announced. I don't know, but I'm excited to hear what they got, and hopefully it actually happens. Okay, so we've talked about things that are like shoo-ins for announcements. 3 major things that I think are pretty much like we're guaranteed to hear more about. Now we're going to kind of get into some more things that we think are going to be announced, but these are just based off of like our own opinions and our own kind of coming to these conclusions here. Some things that we'd like to see and some things that we think are going to get announced. Number 1 being a drone show coming to Disney's Animal Kingdom. This summer over in Disney Springs, they've been testing out a drone show, and it ends, I want to say, mid to end August, and the show has been great. It's been received great, and I really enjoy the show. I think it's fantastic. I think they're just testing it to eventually put it into Animal Kingdom in the giant theater that they have that's just sitting there vacant with nothing going on. It would be the perfect fit.
I haven't even had the opportunity to see this drone show at Disney Springs because it is so bad traffic-wise. It is so bad operationally. It's just not going very well. And I do think moving that over to Animal Kingdom, retheming it a little bit would be very much needed, especially because that's a park that nobody stays in past like 6 p.m. It empties out. So if there's a reason to stay and maybe buy dinner at the park, Disney would have the ultimate reason to actually put it over there. Number 2 of things that we do want to see that are actually kind of realistic and might end up happening is something to do with the previously announced Play Pavilion over at Epcot. If you're not familiar, between Mission Space and Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, there is this massive gold domed building that was originally announced to be part of a new Play Pavilion that just ended up getting canceled and is not happening. I would love to see a Inside Out type, walk-through interactive experience similar to what they announced for the Play Pavilion, and especially now that Inside Out 2 is one of the most successful animated films of all time. I know it's the peak popularity because it's still the summer, but I feel like it's fairly realistic. I mean, it's like the highest grossing animated film since Frozen 2. I feel like it's almost guaranteed to be happening there. I don't know. And especially the fact that it's not going in where Figment is. That's not happening. I will not allow it. There will be a riot.
So Inside Out 2, I'm reading it straight from Google, has made $1.462 billion worldwide. This was 7 days ago. So is it still in theaters? It might be continuously making more, but it has passed Frozen 2 to become the top earning animated feature ever in raw global earnings. So if Disney doesn't do something with Inside Out 2, they'd be crazy. And I think the Play Pavilion would be a good place to kind of incorporate that movie.
One of the other rumored places for Inside Out to go around the Disney parks here in Florida is at Hollywood Studios for the Rock and Roller Coaster retheme to an emotional roller coaster. Now, I don't feel like that's the best suited ride for that because kids like Inside Out and not massive scary roller coasters. But I do think Pixar does have its place somewhere else in Hollywood Studios.
Which brings us to numero 3, which is more Pixar in Hollywood Studios. Disney California Adventure is like the Pixar park, and since we have Toy Story Land in Hollywood Studios, I just feel like Hollywood Studios would be the perfect park to kind of not necessarily replicate the amazing attractions and the amazing themed lands that they have over in DCA, but kind of bring some of that here. And since we're talking about Pixar and Hollywood Studios, there is one main thing that I am just dying to see, which I've mentioned many a times. And Ryan, I don't know if he agrees with me on it. He always says he doesn't. But of course, I am talking about bringing Cars Land to Hollywood Studios. I mentioned earlier, Cars Land is my favorite themed land at any theme park. I think the neon lights at night are amazing. The attractions, Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters is so much fun. Radiator Springs Racers is one of the best Disney attractions, I think, of all time. They have amazing food. It's going to go in Hollywood Studios.
Where?
In Animation Courtyard.
There's no room for that.
Yes, they are. They are going to... Okay, hear me out. There's so much Star Wars in Hollywood Studios. Ryan's leaving. There is so much Star Wars in Hollywood Studios. We need to get rid of Launch Bay. I'm sick of it. It needs to go. So we're going to take that whole area. Now, they are opening Voyage of the Little Mermaid, but they can make the entrance to that over by Walt Disney Presents. And we are going to take the Disney Junior Dance Party, and we're going to get rid of that too. We are going to make that whole area Cars Land.
Are you done yet? For real, I don't know what she's talking about. There's literally no room whatsoever at that Animation Courtyard spot. But where there is room is over by Indiana Jones and Star Tours and Muppets. If they demolish all that, they could fit it, but they're not going to. I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe at Magic Kingdom, maybe. I don't know. Cars Land should stay in California.
No.
Yes.
Can you guys just imagine being in Orlando, Florida? It's a nice, cool, brisk evening, and grabbing a beverage and just sitting under the neon lights of Radiator Springs. Now, I honestly don't care where it happens, even if it happens by Indiana Jones, like Ryan mentioned. I just need Cars Land here in Orlando. Oh my God, I really, really hope so. Watch out, the escalator's ending.
Which brings us to number 4. This one has been a very big point of contention within the Disney fan base for a very long time because it's been broken for a very long time, and that is Disneyland's People Mover making a return. Now, from what I've heard internally, at least rumor-wise online, they'd have to tear down the entire track and rebuild it because of the infamous Rocket Rods ride that was open for, I think, only about 11 months, destroyed the entire track structurally, and it would need to be really, really redone. But to be fair, if they were to close Tomorrowland at Disneyland for like even 3 to 5 years, just to be able to open it back up at its like full like potential, like I would take it. Personally, I'm not out there, so it wouldn't be up to me, but I do think a lot of California natives and people that vacation to Disneyland would probably agree with me, especially now that like Galaxy's Edge is there and you could get your little Space Boy fix over there. I don't know. That's just me. I'd love to see it happen.
That is definitely a sacrifice that I would be willing to make. I mean, they don't have to close all of Tomorrowland, although I do think Disneyland could totally use a whole Tomorrowland overhaul. I just want to see the People Mover back in action. And like Ryan said, I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree. And I think that's something that would make a lot of the Disney fan base happy. And it's just sitting there. There's just nothing going on. They would totally have to redo the whole thing. But imagine if Disneyland got a People Mover again. I think it's possible, and maybe it'll be announced. I really hope so. Okay, so I will admit, the People Mover one is a little bit out there, but so is number 5, and that is reintroducing the possibility of an Epcot hotel. Now, we obviously already have some Epcot hotels. We have the Yacht and Beach Club and the Boardwalk, but I am specifically talking about a hotel that kind of looks into the park and gives you a theme park view. Now, they did have this idea a couple of years back, and it was supposed to happen, but with COVID, that idea was kind of pushed to the side and completely canceled. I forget exactly what year it was, but it was an idea, and I don't think Ryan agrees with me. I don't think he thinks this is going to happen.
I don't remember this ever being announced, ever. So I don't know what she's talking about. She said it was like supposed to be like where the show building is for Guardians of the Galaxy. It was going to kind of look into the park. They could still do that. They have plenty of space back behind the Play Pavilion or whatever it's called. But I don't know. I just don't find this probable because I don't see Disney adding a new regular hotel anytime soon unless it's like a DVC type of thing. And it would severely change the skyline of Epcot, and I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know if I'm ready for that change in my life. You know, I'm just.
I think it all would just line up perfectly. We've already got the monorail going to Epcot. We could add some type of track that would have an additional stop at this hotel. We'd be able to look into the park, a hotel concept that seems to really be working for Disney. They just recently built a Fantasy Springs hotel over in Tokyo Disneyland that you can look into the park from, and all of the Tokyo Disney hotels that you can look into the park from seem to be really, really popular. And I could just imagine waking up in the morning to the smell of Mickey waffles, the monorail going by, and Spaceship Earth illuminating the morning sky.
Ew.
Sounds ideal.
No,
Ew.
no.
Okay, I would love it, and I would love to see it happen. It probably won't, and there's a good chance it won't, but I would still love to see it.
Number 6, New Orleans Square. Although we are not still in Magic Kingdom, we made it to the closest bougie thing to New Orleans type old New Orleans feel that we could.
You're really stretching there.
I'm really stretching this one right here. That's okay. Call me an acrobat. Anyway, let's redo this. Now that Tiana has officially made her debut in the Bayou at Magic Kingdom, replacing the old Frontierland Splash Mountain theme that they had, I believe now would be a wonderful time, and it's been rumored for quite a while, for New Orleans Square from Disneyland to make its way over to Adventureland, Frontierland area, basically changing the theme of Pirates of the Caribbean to a more New Orleans theme like they do over at Disneyland, as well as possibly changing over Pecos Bill's to a Tiana's restaurant like they also have in Disneyland. And I know a lot of people say, I don't want to have the same exact thing in Disney World as they do in Disneyland, but this one wouldn't be a bad idea.
Now, this is something that I would personally also love to see here. We could kind of make New Orleans Square from Pirates of the Caribbean down to Tiana's, including the Pirates-themed bar, which we'll probably get a little bit more information at D23 as well. But like Ryan said, maybe Pecos Bill's could turn into Tiana's. I think the menu at Pecos Bill's is just really bad. So I would love to see some Cajun food in Magic Kingdom. They have a temporary space over at the Golden Oak Outpost. It's not the best. We need a full restaurant dedicated to Tiana, her gumbo, her jambalaya, her beignets, all that stuff. It's definitely a possibility to happen and be announced. We're gonna go over numbers 7 through 10 rather quickly here, but number 7 is just the removal of park reservations. I think this is something that's been a long time coming. We need to see park reservations go. Currently, you don't need a park reservation if you just have like a 1, 2, 3, 4, so on day ticket. But if you're an annual pass holder or you're a cast member, you still need a park reservation to get in the park, especially with Disneyland. I know it's even more complicated than it is here at Disney World. They need to go.
One more thing that happens at Disneyland that we don't have here that I'm a little jealous of would have to go to number 8, which is a nighttime parade at the Magic Kingdom. All I'm really asking for is something along the lines of the Paint the Night parade that's existed previously, and just, I don't know, there's not a lot of nighttime entertainment options other than fireworks shows, which obviously they've got Happily Ever After. There's no better nighttime show in existence, in my opinion, but I don't know, I'd love to see it.
Number 9 is a little bit out there, and that is something happening with the old NBA Experience building. Now, you guys know I used to work over at the NBA Experience, and it's really sad to see that building just sitting vacant, especially when Disney Springs is in desperate need of some nighttime entertainment or just something going on. I would love to see some type of food hall or beer hall, bring in some local restaurants, some local like craft beer brewery. There are so many local breweries here in Orlando that they can kind of all set up a booth, a bunch of different food places. I don't know, it's just a huge space that's just sitting empty, and I would like to see something done with it.
And last but not least, this one's kind of ridiculous. I think we're going to say it together. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Number 10.
Number 10.
A fifth park.
A fifth park. I honestly do not think this is going to be coming to Florida, but because of Epic Universe, there's a smidgen of possibility that it'll happen because they need to compete with Universal, because Universal, the year 2025, are going to pull away for a year or two, and then Disney will probably be back in the front. But a fifth gate would definitely help that.
Well, wouldn't a fifth park be nice? I think that's something that we could end on that everyone can agree upon. We'd obviously all love to see a fifth park here at Walt Disney World. Most likely not going to happen, but who knows? Maybe Disney wants to keep up with Universal, and there's a very slight chance we see it announced at this year's D23. With that being said, let me know down below in the comments the number one thing that you guys want to see announced at D23 this year. We'll see. Who knows what's gonna happen? As always, huge shout out to all of my Patreon subscribers. And since I am with my brother, he has to give his random Patreon shout out. Who is it?
Ashley Nelson. Shout out.
Ashley, I've met you multiple times. Thanks for being a Patreon subscriber, and thank you to all of the other Patreon subscribers. You guys are the best. Make sure you guys all go and subscribe to Ryan's channel. He posts Disney history content for the love of theme parks. I'll put the link to his channel down below as well, so make sure you guys check that out, and we shall see you guys next time, maybe at D23. Who knows? Bye!